You can't do that in the AFL and expect to beat anybody or to be a competitive team that's trying to get a premiership. V8 legends collide. Who's the real king of the track? Welcome back to Ahead of the Game. It's Sports Pez Jez right there. And Tuck's Sports Takes from bets.com.au. We are talking sport today. Jez, chat GPT KO below average. Got some good stuff to talk about. It's the middle of the week. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
How you going?
That's it. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Like we don't like was sort of awkward introduction. Hey, hi, how you going? We haven't just talked 15 times already this morning, but yes, hey.
All right, let's get straight into it. Below average.
Hit it. Below average.
Two teams.
Two below average teams that I don't know. Would you say, I guess, diving into this discussion, we will see, are they the two most underperforming teams in each league of the AFL and NRL? And can you guess them? Probably. Definitely the Brisbane Broncos. Definitely Fremantle Dockers in the AFL. But Ryan, the pinnacle of Brisbane really being so poor is their rubbish record against the Penrith Panthers, and the Penrith Panthers being rubbish, and then they get absolutely pummeled at Magic Round on their home turf, despite being the away team. I wonder if they're in a different locker room to what they usually are. Yeah. So
I remember
maybe
talking about that in the first year or second year. Because I think the Broncos have been the away team every single year at Magic Round.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Like, well, they can't be the away team and it not count as a like away game and not be disadvantaged in some way. Then if they want to use it as one of their home games, then they can be in their own dressing room. But they were officially the away team.
I mean, I don't think the dressing room is even the thing. It's like that you're playing at your home ground in front of your home fans, but it's an away game. So you're getting an extra home game on the season.
Is it their home fans? There's so many people from all over Australia that are there. It's not like it's just people from Brisbane. It would be less. The amount of Brisbane fans would be less that weekend than it would be if it was just a normal Brisbane home game.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, this is not even what we're supposed to be talking about. They've been shit. Why they been shit?
You said that they were the most underperforming team. They're definitely not the most underperforming team, but of the season. But they probably were the most underperforming team at Magic Round, and their inconsistencies when they lose games are like chalk and cheese compared to when they win games, and that's what I'm a little bit scared of them. I've tipped them to win this weekend, of course, against South Sydney, but I'm a little bit worried that those things can come back and bite them in the arse. Maybe not during the regular season. I think they'll have enough wins to make the top 8. There's not really that many teams battling for proper positions once you get through the season. But in finals, like if they show up if they get 5th and show up like they did on the weekend in that 5th versus 8th game, and 8th is maybe Penrith of Jagdesport or Parramatta or
even
one of
Canberra.
these teams. Well, Canberra's probably top 4 at that point.
Yeah, do you think so? Who knows?
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Then they're gonna end up getting bounced because the way they played on the weekend was just terrible.
Yeah, but I don't know. It feels like since, I don't know, they've sort of really, really struggled after that loss they did have to Penrith. And I think it's just funny that like it's so hard at the moment to know like where Brisbane fit, where Penrith even are. Like, how do they have this massive performance against Brisbane? Is it that Brisbane played really bad, or is it that Penrith were playing better? Like it's making for an exciting season at least, because say the two teams, besides the Bulldogs, I think everyone's now accepted that the Bulldogs are a top class team, and they're going to be there, and their defense is good enough to see them finish in the top 4 this year, and that's sort of the given. But I think anybody else, there's nobody really dominating at the moment. So, like we've talked about it previously, that uh, like it's so open between all the way down in 13th with 8 points of the Rabbitohs, and up in 4th is Melbourne on 12 points. It's just like 2 wins. And how far are we in? 9. We're a third of the way in to the season. And it's just like you have a good run, you throw Origin in there, and like anybody can be anywhere heading into the run home after Origin. Like, I think it's really, really wide open, because I think another one, like we're talking below average and the Broncos, you've got to also put Melbourne in there as well, because Melbourne have also been like just this the same, just average, really average when they're not winning games.
Well, I think for Melbourne, the ones earlier in the season were more to do with their injuries. Jerome Hughes missing,
Mm,
and but the loss against St George, and now the loss. Who'd they play? Canberra. Um,
yeah.
like that's their team, and we spoke about this a little bit. It's their errors. They make a
Mm,
lot more errors when they lose, and they're not a team that ranks highly in really any statistical measure. Well,
mm,
actually, they do. I think they were first in line breaks.
mm,
Now they're fourth, but
yeah.
otherwise they're kind of average around the middle of the pack, and that means that it goes very quickly from tipping the scales if you suddenly are giving a lot more ball to your opponent in attacking zone, or you are falling off tackles more than what you would, or you're missing goals. Like any little thing that happens, or a combination of things that happen, can severely impact the result of the game, because you're not dominant really anywhere across the park.
Yeah.
And I think that's
You
maybe
leave
what
yourself
happened against
open
Canberra.
to losses. Like, that's the
Yeah,
thing. If you're
yeah.
not dominating those areas, you're always giving your opponent a chance to get themselves back in the game if you build a lead, or take the game if you haven't built a big enough lead. So,
Yeah. And you look at the Dockers as well in the AFL, like they're my
mm,
team. I follow them, I watch every single game, and I'm invested. But man, you can just get so disappointed sometimes. You know, the game they played um, against, was it Richmond in gather round maybe? Um, their forward line was just enigmatic,
mm,
and they were hitting up, they were leading up, balls on the chest, out in front, they were kicking goals, everything was just clicking. And then another game against St Kilda. What,
mm.
they scored 1 goal in the first half, was it? I can't even remember, like, it was
Yeah,
atrocious.
awful.
Um,
And
I was
like
so
St Kilda
prepared coming into
aren't,
this to have no stats in front of
but
me.
yeah, but we don't need stats. It's more about like the basic results. Like, you're looking at, like, St Kilda aren't even a top side. They lost to them. St Kilda are, say, a fringe 8 team.
Mm.
Melbourne, you would think, would be a fringe 8 team, but they're like 14th or 15th at the moment anyway, and they're losing to them. Like, they're in a little bit of trouble. Like, they beat the Western Bulldogs at home, but the Western Bulldogs have also been sort of struggling. Were struggling with injury at that time. So,
Well,
like, we
but
come into
since
this
then,
season,
The Bulldogs have gone undefeated since that game.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you can
they,
excuse the first game loss against Geelong; they got blown out. The loss against Sydney,
mm,
they took a mark on the siren. They probably should have got it. Would have likely kicked a goal and won. They
mm,
murdered West Coast. They took care of the Bulldogs. They belted Richmond, and then they come out to a Melbourne team that hadn't won a game
mm,
and lost by 10 points, but still scored okay. But their defense, they only allowed 47 points the week before, and then 107 against Melbourne.
mm,
And they
mm,
come back out at home against Adelaide, win by 20, and Adelaide are good, and then
yeah,
come out with this performance. Going from an average of Um, 98 points per game in the 5 games prior to the St Kilda matchup, and then
Yeah,
score 33 points. And like I said, I think it was either 1 goal in the first quarter or 1 goal in the first half, whatever it was. They
yeah.
kick only 5 goals for the game, 8 scoring shots. You
Mm,
can't do that in the AFL
mm.
and expect to beat anybody or to be a
But
competitive
what,
team that's trying to get a premiership.
like, what is it though? Like, you've been watching all the games. Like, what is it that they're struggling with? They're supposed to, like, first they've had like been a strong team defensively, but then how do you sort of drop 94 points to St Kilda and 107 points to Melbourne? What is it that's going wrong in their back line? And then how are they, like, some games it feels like they're okay from what I've watched of actual game footage, they're okay at moving the ball, and then it just feels like it obviously died in the ass last week. Like, what's the problem?
Well, it's effort first and foremost, and they were and have been in maybe a few games this season, but mostly the last couple of years, they've been the team that puts the most pressure on their opponents, especially in their
Mm,
forward 50,
mm,
because their small forwards run, their big guys can tackle, and their midfield is elite. So they stop the ball from getting transferred or that it doesn't come quickly out of their attacking half. But over these losses and even in some of the wins, there's no effort. The guys aren't
mm,
chasing. They're not getting to the point to stop that second pass. They're not following the guy up the field. They're just walking or dropping off behind the play, and their opponents are just streaming through and getting the ball kind of unmarked, and they don't have to
mm,
have they're not getting any pressure on them, which is causing them to take the wrong decision or kick poorly or whatever it can be. There's skill errors. There's just decision making, and I think some of the players are just aren't motivated, and I think some of them probably could do the spell back in the waffle, and there's some other players that are in the waffle that probably should be in the team
mm.
because they're better, they're more informed at the moment, or they're hungry and they can
Yeah,
elevate the rest of the team. So, but it's
yeah. It sounds
poor
like that's what
seeing
they need.
seeing that. Mm,
Like, they need these effort guys that are going to give them the good old one percenters that maybe
mm.
they're not getting from their seasoned seasoned players. But do you think Justin Longmuir is in under the pump?
Like in from the fans, he is, but the club's
Mm,
already come out and said he'll be coaching next year.
mm.
Um, so
Because they've
yeah,
been sort of on the cusp of being like great and should be a contender, but they just haven't been able to get there, and it doesn't feel like they're going to be there this year, even though it was like built up that they were going to be pushing for, a minor premiership and be definitely a top four side. Now they're going to, like, what, struggle to make the eight, or it just takes a couple of games though, and you're back in the mix.
yeah, they are still a comparatively young team, but
Mm,
they're they do have enough experience in key positions to be able to be better than what they have been in some of the games this year.
mm,
If you just looking on Wheelo ratings, fantastic
mm.
site that we use to
Great.
look at stats in 2025. Pressure acts, Fremantle are last. In 2024, pressure acts, Fremantle last. 2023, pressure acts. Yeah, well, they weren't last. They were sixth last. So maybe that doesn't give a because they were the best defensive team 2 years
Mm.
ago. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's terrible to see, and it's below average. It's what it is. Don't
That's what
like
it
it.
is, and That's the whole point of this. They're being below average. 100%.
Let's kick on
Get
from
to the
this.
highlight of the week.
Highlight of the week.
Highlight of my week. I don't know if that says how exciting my week is, but it's pretty up there.
Yeah, I like it. GPT KO. And we're going back to motorsport. And we can see here the bracket as it finished. Oh, I didn't put that in there. But who won? Bailey Smith.
Bailey Smith.
Yeah, so he'll fill that spot there and
Against
take on
Cherry
Cherry
Evans.
Evans in round 2.
Mm.
But we had this little spot open under Verstappen and Russell. And we thought...
Mate, this bottom half of the table is brutal, isn't it?
It is. Why not go back to motorsport?
Brutal.
Audio cut out. I was talking to myself. I don't know how much of that came through. Scaife and Lowndes, motorsport, supercars, they're back this weekend. Where are they racing?
Tassie. The Tassie Super 440. Cam Waters, we are backing over at bets.com.au to get the win there.
And we thought, we need to keep the motorsport kind of corner of the bracket alive. And we kind of were scratching our heads. And it's like, who could it be? We spoke a little bit about maybe some Christian Horner and Toto Wolff from the F1, or maybe Marquez brothers from MotoGP, or, but Scaife and Lowndes, we grew up watching them, teammates and also competitors. And that was kind of signified V8s for me growing up. It was these two guys that were the epitome of the sport. So
yeah, they sort of Holdens that took over the reign from, I don't know, Peter Brock, in that when you think Holden, you think of Peter Brock and you think Scaife and Lowndes.
Let's then, so this is what happened. Bailey Smith won by TKO in round 3 against Harley Reid. I haven't prepared the prompt. Let's see what we can do.
Go live.
Mark Scaife and Craig Lowndes were the epitome of motorsport in Australia in the early 2000s. Now we need to determine the ultimate survivor to take take their crown in GPT KO.
Yes.
Let's go. All right.
Work your magic, son.
V8 legends collide. Who's the real king of the track? Closing out round 1. It already knows that this is the last matchup.
Yeah, that's nuts.
All-time motorsport showdown. Mark Scaife and Craig Lowndes, two titans of Aussie V8 supercars who defined a generation. They were teammates, rivals, Bathurst winners, and absolute icons of the early 2000s motorsport scene. A lot of S's there for a person that has a little bit of a ulcer on his tongue. Killing me. But only one
you were
can
just
leave
trying
the
to
cage.
rock the lisp.
Oh, it's like
get you some more
on my teeth every single time. But only one can leave the cage with a GPT KO checkered flag. Righto, Jez. Up to you, mate.
All right. Tail of the tape. Mark Scaife, 6-time Bathurst winner, 5 times championship winner, the sharp-tongued tactician with unmatched intensity. Known for his technical brilliance and no-nonsense attitude, Scaife was as ruthless in the garage as he was behind the wheel. Craig Lowndes, 7 times Bathurst champ, 3 times Supercar champion, the fan favourite with the megawatt smile and Iron Man stamina. Not only on the track, ladies. Mr. Consistency with
Wee.
ice in his veins and a knack for rising when the pressure hits red line.
I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's so good.
Do you reckon was Scaife a bit of a see you next Tuesday in the garage? You reckon?
See, yeah, think very just straight. He's just a straight shooter, just very black and white. And it was the same when he
Yeah,
raced. He'll bump, and he'll bump and then bitch about being bumped, like
bit
one
like
of
Max
those
Verstappen.
guys.
It'd be
Yeah, a
cool if
little
those
bit.
two match up.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's
All
go.
right, fight breakdown. Grit factor. Scaife's fiery and laser focused. He'd punch through a pit wall if it meant a win. Lowndes, calm and deadly, like a smiling assassin.
Endurance. Lowndes trained like an elite athlete throughout his career. If this goes long, he'll be the one still dancing on his toes in round 5.
Psych warfare. Scaife plays the mind game like a grand master. He'll be revving in Lowndes' head all week. Revving in his head. All right, Jez, this is over to you, mate,
Yeah.
to give us the final verdict.
It's brutal. It's respectful. It's historic. Scaife tries to dominate early, setting the pace and pushing Lowndes to the edge. But Lowndes survives the onslaught, finds rhythm, and lands a clean combo straight out of Conrod Straight. Winner, Craig Lowndes via split decision. The smile masks the steel. He goes the distance, proves he's more than just the crowd pleaser, and punches his ticket to the quarterfinals.
Wow. So I think this is an upset. I had Scaife to win,
Ugh.
and this is the closest one. Split decision. We haven't had a split decision.
No, no, awesome. This stuff is so good. You couldn't write it yourself. You couldn't
Couldn't
do
write it yourself.
it. No.
All right. So round one is complete. We'll have Peter
Did it just
Volandis up
say? Did it just
against.
ask if you want to? Let's see how good ChatGPT is. Want a full visual bracket recap before the next round kicks off, or should we go straight into the quarterfinal?
Visual bracket.
This will be
Recap.
interesting.
So while that's generating, we have Peter Volandis up against Larry Kesselman. We have Daly Cherry Evans against Bailey Smith. Alex Ovechkin against Ron Artest, and then Max Verstappen up against Craig Lowndes.
Gee whiz. Do you think? Come on, baby. Oh, I was trying to scroll down on my screen to try and get it. But who do you think, Ryan? Who have you got in the next round? We should start putting down wagers now, I think, right?
Yeah, I think oh,
Oh, is that trying to be Max Verstappen? Yeah. It's really tried to generate faces here. It's done an awful job.
a
And it's
very bad
changed the
job.
bracket a little bit, right?
Yeah, it definitely has.
These are great. And
That was Craig Lowndes.
yeah.
At least they put glasses on Scaife.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. It's so terrible that it's good. But
Bailey
anyway,
Smith.
that's not the real bracket anyway. So I don't know. Let's put down some wagers. Bring up the other bracket.
Okay, one moment.
Put you under the. All right, Volandis versus Kesselman. Who's going to win?
I reckon Kesselman wins. He'll
All right.
buy the ring again.
No, I'm taking Volandis. He's brutal.
Okay.
We need to write this down. And then, all right, Bailey Smith and Cherry Evans. Oh,
Bailey Smith for me.
yeah, yeah. I don't think you can back the old dog.
It has previously, though, given an advantage to the experienced person.
Yeah, we'll take Cherry Evans then.
No,
Don't try and don't.
I still think I want you to take him.
No, we'll both lose. Anyway, all right, Verstappen and Lowndes. You got to back Verstappen, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then the match of the round has to be Ovechkin and Artest. Has to be.
I'm
That
picking
that the
Ovechkin.
winner out of this, the winner out of that has to be the favorite to win it all, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll pick Artest just to be different,
Okay.
but it's 50-50. I'll take
I
it.
can see Ovechkin and Bailey Smith playing off in the semi final, and Ovechkin knocking Bailey Smith's tooth out, so he looks like him
Yeah.
when he goes to the
Listen to
Bailey
this
Smith.
now, Chat GPT. I hope you're listening.
All right.
I'm excited.
Don't forget to
Next
find
week.
and follow us on the channels. Head over to bets.com.au to find all your game previews. Love it. Done and dusted.
Done and dusted. Don't forget. Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Hang with us and stay ahead of the game.